Today, let's talk about something incredible, the hidden architecture of our own minds. And what if I told you that you're not just living inside that landscape, but you can actually be its lead architect? So, have you ever felt like your mind is just stuck? Replaying the same painful thoughts, the same worries over and over again? It's like a broken record you just can't shut off, no matter how hard you try. Well, there's a name for that feeling. It's called a state of self-attack. It's when our own internal world feels less like a safe place and more like a battleground, where we're somehow both the attacker and the one being attacked. To really get this, we have to completely reimagine the brain. I want you to forget thinking of it as a static computer. Instead, picture it as a living, breathing landscape, a terrain that we walk through every day, where sometimes we can get trapped by our own past. This really paints a picture of that stuck feeling, doesn't it? In this state of self-attack, our brain's neural pathways become like these deeply rutted trails, overgrown with painful thoughts. The more we walk them, the deeper they get. Our reactions become rigid, almost automatic. Our entire mental landscape starts to be defined not by what's happening now, but by everything that's happened before. But here's the thing. What if you weren't just a visitor in this landscape? What if you were the landscape architect? What if you had the power to literally reshape this terrain? This brings us to a truly revolutionary idea, the principle of change. And this amazing power has a scientific name, neuroplasticity. This is a complete game changer because it means your brain is not fixed hardware. For decades, science thought the adult brain was basically set in stone. But now we know it's constantly remodeling itself. Get this, studies of London taxi drivers showed that after they memorized thousands of streets, the part of their brain responsible for memory, the hippocampus, had physically grown. That's a real physical change driven purely by mental effort. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. This isn't just some self-help mantra. This is hard neuroscience. Your thoughts aren't just little clouds passing over the landscape. No, they are the gardeners and the trailblazers. They are the forces that can carve new rivers and raise new mountains inside your own mind. So, okay, how do we actually use this amazing power? Well, it's not a switch you just flip. It's a journey. And this journey takes us through a very specific and, often uncomfortable territory called the liminal phase. The liminal phase is that messy, awkward, in-between space. Think of it like this. You've left a familiar home, even if it was a painful one, but your new home isn't fully built yet. You've decided to leave the old patterns, but the new ones aren't solid yet. It feels uncertain, a little disorienting, and honestly, that's the whole point. It's the construction zone. It's uncomfortable because it is proof that real transformation is actually happening. And this is just so important to understand. We have to stop seeing change as some kind of light switch. It's not. It's a path. It's a path we have to consciously choose to walk, one step at a time, even when it's foggy and we can't quite see the destination. So what does walking that path actually look like? Well, first, you have to recognize the old landscape for what it is. You see those overgrown, painful trails, not as permanent fixtures, but as learned habits. Then it takes courage to step into that uncomfortable in-between phase, to just sit with that feeling of not knowing. From there, it's about active work. You have to intentionally think differently, choosing a new thought like a hiker choosing a new trail. And finally, through repetition, you forge that trail into a brand new, solid pathway in your brain. Okay, so what's the destination? Where does this new path actually lead? It leads us away from that state of internal conflict and toward a completely new state of being. Just look at the difference here, side by side. On one hand, you have self-attack, a brain stuck in the past, running on those old, rigid, reactive pathways. But on the other, you have self-reconciliation, a brain defined not by its history, but by its potential, a landscape carved with new, intentional pathways that you chose to create. I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Lasting change isn't about just stopping a bad habit. It's a fundamental shift in your relationship with yourself, from a state of internal war to a state of internal peace. And all of this leads us to the final and I think most empowering idea of all. You are not just a passive observer of your mind's landscape. You are its chief architect. So let's lock in the big ideas here. First, your brain is a dynamic, living landscape. Second, neuroplasticity is the tool you have to reshape it. Third, that uncomfortable liminal phase, it's a necessary and actually good part of the journey. And finally, the goal, the destination, is self-reconciliation.
The one thing to really remember is this: every single thought you have is a footstep. And with enough intention, enough repetition, you can turn a faint new trail into a well-worn, positive path. You really are the architect of your own neural landscape.
And so that leaves just one final question. You have the power, you have the tools, and you have the blueprints. So, what new landscape will you choose to build?